that?
Well, we get asked this question, who's your client? So our client's the older person, but our client really is the whole system, because you have to understand and navigate the whole family system or the neighborhood system or the religious system to make sure that the older person gets what they want and what they need and what they can afford. My favorite example of this is my little client Rose, who was a New York stand-up comic in her day. And it was hard to keep a straight face when we were working with her, because just as soon as we'd give her advice, she'd have, just several lines that would put us on the ground laughing. Anyway, Rose was what I would call eccentric. Rose would walk down her driveway to take her garbage out or to go pick up the mail, and she would wear this white flimsy slip and white top that you could see things that you really might not want to see. And she had this little shay way of walking, and the neighbors were alarmed at the status of Rose in the home. So getting back to the client system. So the daughters are calling me frantic because somebody called Adult Protective Services on Rose. What are we going to do? We've got to put Rose in an assisted living facility. And I thought, no, we really don't. We need to educate the neighbors on what problems really are, that this really isn't a problem. It's their problem. So we had a neighborhood association meeting, and we talked about Rose. And it was really fun and really funny, and they were alarmed. Now, I understand their alarm, and I don't want to sound flip like, oh, Rose wasn't a safety risk, but she never left her driveway, and she wasn't naked. So, maybe she wasn't dressed the way, but heck, you can go to the beach and see people dressed the way you don't want to see them. So we kind of explained that to the neighbors and said, this really isn't a problem. And if there was going to be a big problem, here's who you can call. You can call us anytime with things that you see and observe. And we kept Rose in her house for 3 years with very minimal. We had help in the home. It was about 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then when it began to grow, the daughters just wanted her closer to home. So she moved up north to be with her daughter. But that was a perfect example of, if we didn't address the neighbor's issue as the client, then Rose wouldn't have been able to last in her home, because Adult Protective Services would have gotten involved and then taken those choices away from Rose. It is complicated, and a lot of times somebody might go to their physician. I had this happen the other day. I brought a client to the cardiologist, and the cardiologist pointed his finger at my client and said, if you're non-compliant with your medicine, you're going to have to move to assisted living. And my client looked at him, and God bless her, she just looked at him and she says, no, I won't be doing that. I'm going to stay in my own home. Mm-hmm. But the doctor was scared that something was going to happen, scared that someone would look back at them. You're not managing your patient very well. So we showed him the medication system that we would be using and ensured them that we did have a system in place, that she was, for the most part, compliant. Nothing's ever perfect when you're in the fragile years. Nothing's ever perfect anywhere, but it's really not perfect in the fragile mm-hmm. years. And that became part of the client system, because if the doctor then tried to call the shots, call the daughter, say you have to move your mother, we had to address that so that the older person could stay at home, which is where they wanted to be.